What is the gaze? Is it glancing at someone or something quickly? Is it staring at someone that you're interested in? Or is it intently looking at an object with curiosity?
We're looking at the objectifying gaze, and what I mean by that was basically this behavior that men sometimes engage in which they visually inspect women's bodies or stare at their body parts, and sort of a slang term for that is checking women out.
For the purpose of this documentary, the gaze is the way that viewers in our society look at men and women in advertising. Ads are more than just something to look at. They symbolize empowerment and objectification, where the gazer is superior to the one being gazed at. This change in society is significant, where men and women are viewed differently in advertising, or rather, modern advertising. When you hear the word gender, you either think of male or female. For example, males have the tendency to be portrayed as strong, working out, or going to the gym. And women have the tendency to be portrayed as staying at home, cooking, cleaning, or taking care of children. But it's much more than that. According to Sue Jelly, professor at the University of Massachusetts, gender relations are part of our identities. Being male or female is a core attribute that determines who we are. Our physical gender differences are hereditary, but our non-physical ones, like what we're supposed to look like, how we're supposed to act, or how we're supposed to dress, those are all taught to us by the mass media. Tony Schwartz, a media theorist, calls this partipulation. This is where advertisements don't necessarily tell us how to act, but instead, it's where advertisements are used as references to inspire people like us on how to act, how to look, and how to think a certain way. According to Dr. Strangelove, professor at the University of Ottawa, capitalism is a gender-based system. For example, Victoria's Secret's weapon is to advertise to both men and women. Their ads are sensual and their clothing is barely the center of attention. Their commercials have the power to arouse men and make them fantasize about women. Since women want to fulfill their man's fantasies, they too are influenced to buy the product in order to feel and look like a Victoria's Secret model. No other culture in history has been this obsessed with sexuality. Feminists Cynthia Peters and Karen Struening, authors of Out on the Street, have written that since a large part of daily life has to do with sexuality anyways, it's normal to see individual messages that focus on sex and gender.
Other feminists have noted that women are just conforming to the interests of men in our society.
Simone de Beauvoir, feminist and author of Second Sex, has made the connection that everywhere throughout history, men always put themselves as a subject and always consider women as the object.
Distorted or not, this is the way we see gender roles.
Right now, You are the spectator's gaze because you are watching us. As the directors of this documentary, we decide what the focus will be on. We control the camera's gaze. The gaze is not only limited to film, it is also relevant to magazines, photographs, and advertisements. This is called the editorial gaze. The editors often crop or caption an ad to direct your gaze towards a specific place or object that they want your eyes to focus on. Why are we so interested in watching others? The answer is scopophilia. It literally means the love of looking in the Greek language. Whether it is looking through your friends' profiles and images on Facebook, or seeing strangers in pornography, or watching celebrities in a movie, you enjoy looking into the lives of other people. It's the kind of gaze that is seen mostly in Hollywood movies, where your subconscious takes pleasure in seeing women or men as sexual objects instead of subjects with their own voice. Every day, people stare at others regardless of their gender. In this Corona ad, for example, the man stares at the woman, but the woman also objectifies the man. The next clip shows the results of a study held by an Australian eyeglass chain that asked how much time a person spends in a day staring at the opposite sex.
Men stare at women 43 minutes a day, and then they polled women and found that they stare at men for 20 minutes a day.
Although we like watching others, many people are afraid of being watched. Scopophobia is an anxiety disorder where a person has a fear of being watched or stared at by other people.
19% of the men in the eyeglass chain study had said they enjoyed being stared at by women, but only 9% of women who were studied said they enjoyed being stared at by the men. This result ties into what Peter and Shunin mentioned, in that many women walk through public spaces fearing the gazes, gestures, and words directed at them. They can and do seek the gaze of the other, and many have ambivalent responses to being addressed as sexual objects. While some women experience the gratification and pleasure, many others recount feelings of humiliation, anger, outrage, and diminished self-esteem.
There is a community of people who take scopophilia even further by spying on other people without their knowledge while they are engaging in intimate behaviors. This is called voyeurism.
These behaviors could range from undressing, sexual activity, or other intimate and private activities, as shown in this Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker movie of Rush Hour. Dr. Glenn Johnson, a media studies professor at the Catholic University of America, has noted that the key factor in voyeurism is that the watcher does not interact personally with the one being watched.
Ronnie, I got something to show you. This is reality without the TV.
The watcher may observe from a distance using stealth, peepholes, and other devices or strategies. Pornography appeals to this voyeuristic and scopophilic desire, and this is the reason why our society and mass media have become so obsessed with sexuality in our culture. An example of voyeurism, staring at people without their knowledge, that's used in advertising is the famous HBO voyeurism project. During this campaign, HBO projected a 5-minute film on the side of a building in New York. This film invited the public to peer into the lives of 8 fictional New York apartments. The slogan of this campaign was, "See what people do when they think no one is watching." HBO won many awards for this project and proved how much passerbys would just stop and observe the lives of others. The gaze is something we see in our everyday lives. The mass media influences gender relations, which helps define who we are and the roles we play on a daily basis. There is a feminist view upon the gaze and how it is used in film, advertising, and the mass media. And finally, the different forms of gazes can be simple and subtle, such as the spectator's gaze and scopophilia. Or the gaze can be something as extreme as voyeurism.